The 10,052nd meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is the situation in Libya. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representative of Libya to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite Ms. Nazat Shamim Khan, Deputy Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of item 2 of the agenda. I now give the floor to Deputy Prosecutor Nazat Shamim Khan.
Madam President, thank you for the opportunity to brief the Security Council today. Please also allow me to begin by recognizing and expressing my thanks to His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Libya to the United Nations, for his attendance today. Madam President, Excellencies, I address you today following the realization over the last 6 months of a series of unprecedented landmarks in response to the mandate set by this Council through Resolution 1970 in 2011. As reflected in my report, through our collective work, there is a new momentum towards justice in Libya, and we now look towards the first trial to be held at the court in this situation. Based on the progress we now see, I firmly believe there is an opportunity for us to show a collective success based on the partnership between Libya, this Council, and the ICC. This progress has been delivered despite what are also unprecedented headwinds faced by the court. I must be clear that coercive measures and acts of intimidation against the ICC, civil society, and other partners of justice do not serve anyone other than those who wish to benefit from impunity in Libya, and in all situations that we address. It is the victims of murder, sexual violence, torture, and the other most serious crimes addressed by our court that stand to lose the most from these coercive actions. I firmly believe that is not a position that is welcomed by any member of this Council, and it is my sincere hope that we can rebuild a common ground between us for collective, effective action against atrocity crimes. I do wish to underline to all members today that despite this context, the Office and I personally remain fully committed to delivering on the promise that was made to victims through Resolution 1970 and through the Rome Statute to all those affected by international crimes. Madam President, Excellencies, this sense of solidarity and common action has delivered significant progress in the period covered by the report that I present to you today. And through the arrest of Khalid Mohammed Ali El-Hishri by German authorities on the 16th of July, on the basis of a warrant issued by Pretrial Chamber 1 of the ICC, we see a clear example of the momentum that we are building. The Office of the Prosecutor alleges that Mr. El-Hishri is responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Metiga prison from February 2015 to at least early 2020, including murder, torture, rape, and sexual violence against Libyan nationals and migrants. For too long, crimes committed in detention facilities in the west and the east of Libya have represented a no-go area for accountability. And it is that sense of impunity that has acted as a driver, an accelerant, for the infliction of even more cruelty. Through the imminent transfer of Mr. El-Hishri to the ICC, based on the mandate provided by this Council, and through the first pre-trial and subsequently trial proceedings before the court in the situation of Libya, we send a clear message. Those responsible for inflicting suffering in Libya are mistaken if they believe they are still outside the reach of justice. Reflecting this momentum, our office also remains clearly focused on securing the arrest and transfer of Mr. Osama el-Masri Najim for trial at the ICC for the war crimes and crimes against humanity that we allege he has committed in Mitiga prison. These alleged crimes also include murder, torture, rape, and sexual violence. We have received reports in recent weeks of his possible arrest in Libya, and we are seeking confirmation of this from the Office of the Attorney General. And we are also continuing steps, together with our registry colleagues, to ensure the effective tracking and arrest of Mr. Saif Suleiman Sneidel, in relation to whom Pre-Trial Chamber 1 unsealed an ICC arrest warrant on the 8th of August. We allege Mr. Sneidel to be responsible for war crimes when serving as an officer of Group 50 in the Al-Saika Brigade and participating in an operation launched by the so-called Libyan National Army in Benghazi, known as Operation Dignity, in May 2014. In issuing the arrest warrant in November 2020, the Chamber found reasonable grounds to believe that Mr. Sneidel participated in 3 mass executions in which a total of 23 people were murdered. I call on all relevant authorities, and in particular those in eastern Libya, to secure the arrest and transfer of this individual to the ICC. It is also essential, Madam President, that we ensure those subject to existing arrest warrants for the horrors committed in Tahuna, whether they are located in Libya or in third states, are arrested and brought to justice. The scale of atrocities committed demand our collective action. Madam President, Excellencies, collectively, these actions, the additional warrants, the arrests, and the anticipated trials before the ICC, are proof that through our common work, we can end an era of impunity in Libya. This will remain our absolute central focus in the coming period. And these new possibilities for accountability are not just reflected in the concrete steps I have outlined. They are seen in the clear further commitments made by the government of Libya to partner with the ICC in these efforts. The submission of a declaration by the government of Libya, pursuant to Article 12.3 of the Rome Statute, accepting the exercise of jurisdiction by the court, was a significant moment. It sends a clear message that Libya sees ongoing real value and trust in the work of the ICC. And this is not just a commitment that we have seen on paper. It has been reflected in real enhanced cooperation received from Libyan authorities in this reporting period. I wish to express thanks in particular to their excellencies, Prime Minister Dbeibeh and President Al-Menfi, for the support of their officers, and would like to welcome the Attorney General of Libya to deepen his engagement in this common cause. In that regard, I note that last week the Attorney General was in contact with my office to request an in-person meeting. I welcome that approach, and I look forward to engaging with him further in the near future. Madam President, Excellencies, reflecting this renewed dynamic, Libyan authorities have also made clear to the office that they see significant value in ensuring a comprehensive conclusion to existing lines of inquiry as outlined in the 2022 situation strategy. Through this renewed posture, we see an alignment of messages from Libyan national partners and civil society organizations as to their hopes for a full realization of the strategy outlined originally by the Office in its 23rd report. In this new landscape, and also taking into account the significant work stemming from the impending first trial in the Libya situation, the Office has conducted a further assessment of the opportunities and consequent timeframe for the effective implementation of its 2022 strategy in fulfillment of the mandate set by this Council. I can therefore confirm to the Council today that on the basis of that review, and while reaffirming its commitment to move promptly to the conclusion of the investigation phase in this situation, the Office has renewed the core landmarks it will seek to achieve in reaching this completion stage. As a result, the Office will continue its investigations beyond May 2026 and will report promptly to the Council upon completion of each of the 3 lines of inquiry that remain in active investigation phase. Madam President, Excellencies, amidst this renewed sense of dynamism and common action, it is important to recall from where the Court derives its strength and focus. That is, our work with victims, with those affected by Rome Statute crimes. In the last period, this spirit of partnership has also been seen in our work with civil society actors. On the 8th of October 2025, I was grateful for the opportunity to hold a further periodic meeting with more than 30 civil society organizations and human rights activists in relation to the situation in Libya. The Libya Unified Team has also held over 150 interactions and engagements with more than 54 CSOs, human rights defenders, and victims organizations over the last 6 months. The messages we received from them were consistent. They are encouraged by the recent arrest. They see other tangible progress, and they believe that these actions can have a deterrent effect on perpetrators in Libya as we speak. I can feel a genuine increased trust and confidence in our work from victims and from civil society. But in our meetings, they are also clear. To have lasting impact, we must retain our focus and ensure that these positive steps result in real justice in a way that properly addresses key areas of impunity in Libya. I underline to them that we are united in this view, and we will continue to rely on their partnership as we take this work forward. Let me take this opportunity to express my personal gratitude to both Libyan and international civil society organizations for their strong voice for victims and for their essential support to the ICC in our common work to end impunity in Libya. Madam President, Excellencies, finally, I wish to emphasize the crucial role that cooperation with other national partners has played in this reporting period, in particular with respect to crimes committed against migrants. Our work in the joint team, together with domestic law enforcement agencies of 5 state parties, has in particular actively contributed to our investigations in this area. And again here, we see concrete results delivered through our work together. Earlier this month, on the 3rd of November, the trial of an Eritrean alleged human smuggler named Tewelde Goitom, also known as Valid, commenced in the Netherlands. He faces charges that include extortion, smuggling of migrants, and membership in a criminal organization for his role in a large international human smuggling network, including operations in Libya. Our office was pleased to attend court for the closing submissions by the prosecution last week. A second Eritrean alleged human smuggler, who also operated from within this network in Libya, is expected to be extradited from the United Arab Emirates to the Netherlands by the end of the year to face domestic trial proceedings, again based on the work of this joint team. I wish to extend my sincere thanks to all national authorities that have provided their support and collaboration in the recent period. It is my hope that as we see the real accountability returns on this investment, more states and national authorities will join this collective effort. Madam President, Excellencies, based on our common work, based on the mandate and the support of this Council, there is now a brighter future for justice in Libya. We can clearly see in our activities an increased alignment of cause across actors, from Libyan national authorities to civil society partners and to our colleagues from other states that wish to support accountability for international crimes. Looking at what has been achieved in the recent period, we can allow ourselves a tentative hope that a page is being turned, a clearer space being created for good actors in Libya, and ultimately that the foundations for lasting peace and stability for the Libyan people are being strengthened. This hope is real, but it is also fragile. I welcome the partnership of all members of this Council in our continued efforts towards this goal, and also urge, on behalf of victims, that measures seeking to frustrate this work are seized. Our cause is a common one, which we will continue together in the months ahead. I can assure all members that the Office of the Prosecutor and I personally remain fully committed in our efforts to deliver for the victims of Rome Statute crimes in Libya in line with the mandate that you have provided us. I thank you.
I thank Deputy Prosecutor Khan for her briefing. I now give the floor to those Council members who wish to make statements. I give the floor to the representative of Denmark.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me begin by thanking Deputy Prosecutor Khan for her briefing. We are pleased to see you brief the Council on this important matter that the Council has referred to you. I would also like to welcome the representative of Libya to the meeting today. We welcome the significant progress made by the Office of the Prosecutor in the latest reporting period. The arrest of Khaled el-Hishri marks a major milestone towards the fulfillment of the mandate given by this Council and a first trial for the serious crimes listed in the arrest warrant. It sends an important message to the victims and the survivors that they are not forgotten. It also acts as a clear message of deterrence to other perpetrators of international crimes in Libya. We commend Germany for leading by example in its arrest and expected imminent surrender of el-Hishri to the ICC, and we urge all state parties to comply in this situation with the cooperation obligations under the Rome Statute. Madam President, we welcome the Libyan government's decision to accept the court's full jurisdiction for the crimes committed in Libya from 2011 to the end of 2027. This is a clear testament to the government's commitment to end impunity in Libya and provides a renewed basis for cooperation. The government's decision also illustrates its trustful and cooperative relationship with the ICC. In a difficult time for the court, this is an important and welcome signal. At the same time, we underscore that this new level of cooperation must be shown across all Libyan authorities in accordance with Libya's obligation under Resolution 1970. We urge the Libyan Attorney General to increase its cooperation with the court. This includes providing access to its investigations into crimes in Tahuna and Mitiga prison, and information on the progress of its national proceedings against Mr. Najem and the Tahuna suspects. It also includes surrendering suspects subject to ICC arrest warrants. In this regard, we welcome the continuing efforts by the Office of the Prosecutor to assist with complementarity and cooperation efforts in Libya and other states. Madam President, we welcome the Office's increased engagement with civil society, victim associations, and human rights defenders. Their experiences and their role in bringing both evidence to light and witnesses forward is highly valuable. We urge the Office to continue building on these good practices and to continue prioritizing its support to and safety of witnesses and victims working with the court. To conclude, let me once again welcome the new commitment by the Libyan government to cooperate with the court. States and non-state parties need to engage in a constructive dialogue in strengthening the fight against impunity. Denmark reiterates its unwavering support for the court as an independent judicial institution. Our commitment to defend the court and the principles and values enshrined in the Rome Statute remains resolute. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Denmark for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of China.
主席女士，我认真听取了纳扎特·汗副检察官的通报，欢迎利比亚常驻代表出席今天的会议。中方一直关注国际刑事法院涉利比亚问题调查情况，注意到检察官就此提交的第30份报告。结合报告内容和利比亚当前局势，我谈3点。第一，法院应严格依法依权行事。中方一贯支持打击和惩治危害国际和平与安全的严重罪行，重视国际法院在这方面发挥的作用。中方注意到报告提及检察官办公室落实调查路线图取得进展。法院在处理有关情事时，应严格遵守罗马规约，补充管辖原则，秉持独立、客观、公正精神，兼顾司法正义与和平稳定，避免政治化和双重标准。第二，法院应加强与当事国合作。我们欢迎检察官报告提及，利比亚当局同检方开展良好合作。法院在推进4大领域调查过程中，应充分尊重利比亚司法主权与管辖权，听取当事国合理关切，同利比亚当局保持密切沟通合作。同时，还应帮助利比亚加强本国司法机构和能力建设，完善司法体系，更好保障公平正义。第三，国际社会应支持利比亚推进政治过渡。中方呼吁利比亚各方共同维护停火，妥善处理分歧，为政治解决营造良好氛围。安理会要支持联立团发挥更大作用，坚持利人主导、利人所有的原则，鼓励各方开展广泛对话协商，尽快破解政治僵局。国际社会应充分尊重利比亚主权和主导权，避免不当干涉施压。中方愿同国际社会一道，继续为帮助利比亚维护和平稳定、实现发展繁荣发挥建设性作用。谢谢主席女士。
I thank the representative of China for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Somalia.
Thank you, Madam President. We listened carefully to the briefing of Deputy Prosecutor Khan and took note of the 30th report of the International Criminal Court pursuant to Resolution 1970. I also welcome the participation of the permanent representative of Libya to this meeting. Madam President, justice and accountability remain central to fostering peace and stability in Libya. Transitional justice is vital for achieving national reconciliation and lasting peace. In that context, my delegation would like to make the following 3 points. First, strengthening national justice institutions must remain a priority, empowering Libyan authorities to lead this process. We welcome the significant step taken by the government of Libya in submitting a declaration under Article 12 of the Rome Statute. This action reflects an enhanced commitment from the government and strengthens the foundation for the rule of law within Libya. Second, existing legal frameworks in Libya should be reinforced and, where appropriate, adapted to respond to evolving circumstances. We reiterate approaches to justice in Libya are most effective when rooted in Libyan efforts and aspirations. We note that this renewed cooperation establishes a relationship of genuine partnership which is essential for delivering results for the affected communities. Third, Libyan leadership in addressing justice must take precedence, supported by regional and African mechanisms. As the process advances, the Council should remain vigilant about the role of external factors and observe these dynamics with transparency, ensuring that Libyan-led, Libyan-owned solutions guide the path forward. Madam President, cooperations between Libya and the Libyan authorities and the ICC, as outlined in Security Council Resolution 1970, can foster accountability while respecting complementarity and national sovereignty. We note the report's assessment of a new era of cooperation and encourage the continued engagement between the Office and the Attorney General of Libya to achieve the mutual objectives. This new era of cooperation requires sustained attention and support for Libyan-led initiatives toward justice and peace. We believe comprehensive approaches integrating judicial accountability, humanitarian support, and diplomatic engagement remains essential. In conclusion, Madam President, the international community and this Council should fully support Libya's pursuit of justice, stability, reconciliation, while respecting Libya's sovereignty, territorial integrity, unity, and political independence. Somalia remains committed to playing an active role toward these objectives. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Somalia for the statement. I give the floor to the permanent representative of Greece.
Thank you, Madam President. Greece wishes to thank the Deputy Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Mrs. Khan, for the presentation of the 30th report of the Office of the Prosecutor, pursuant to Security Council Resolution 1970. The report contains information regarding developments about the investigations of the Office of the Prosecutor in Libya, covering the period from May 2025 to date. In this regard, we wish to underscore the following. First, significant progress regarding the main lines of inquiry has been achieved through the work of the Office of the Prosecutor. Greece underlines in this regard the execution of the arrest warrant of the court against Al-Hishri. This arrest warrant is related to the second key line inquiry of the OTP regarding crimes in detention facilities in Libya. According to the report, the suspect is expected to be surrendered to the ICC custody imminently. This is a landmark development. It will be the first surrender since the referral of the situation in Libya to the ICC by the Security Council in 2011. Moreover, as noted in past reports, the ICC has completed the investigation phase regarding the line of inquiry which relates to the 2011 violence. We underscore that according to the present report, there is one outstanding public arrest warrant in relation to this investigation, which the Libyan authorities are called to execute. Related to the above is the acceptance of the court's jurisdiction by Libya through its declaration of 12 May 2025 under Article 12, Paragraph 3 of the Rome Statute, over crimes committed in its territory from 2011 to 2027. The acceptance of the jurisdiction of the court will facilitate the work of the OTP to continue its investigation on the lines of inquiry for the years to follow. Second, we underscore the developments regarding the cooperation of the OTP with the Libyan authorities. Greece highlights not only the acceptance of the jurisdiction of the court by Libya, but also the enhanced commitment of the government to fulfill their cooperation obligations under Resolution 1970 and the increased cooperation and support from the Libyan government to the work of the Office of the Prosecutor. Yet, we underline the remarks of the report as to the concrete steps expected now from the judicial authorities of Libya in terms of cooperation with the OTP. We underscore the remarks of the report as to the increased and more extensive engagement needed as regards the execution of arrest warrants against suspects involved in the lines of investigation regarding the 2011 violence and the crimes in detention facilities, respectively. Third, Greece underlines the importance of empowering victims, witnesses, and affected communities, and welcomes the continued and increased engagement of the Office of the Prosecutor with civil society organizations in the current reporting period. We particularly highlight the significance of a publicly accessible portal that allows the Office of the Prosecutor to receive communications and information on serious crimes falling under the ambit of the Rome Statute. To conclude, Mrs. President, Greece welcomes the increased cooperation of the government of Libya with the Office of the Prosecutor and equally underscores the obligations of the country under Security Council Resolution 1970 to surrender ICC suspects arrested by the Libyan authorities against whom there are pending ICC arrest warrants. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Greece for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of France.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je remercie la procureure adjointe Khan pour son exposé et me réjouis de sa participation en personne à cette séance. Je salue également la présence du représentant permanent de la Libye. Madame la Présidente, évoquer l'action de la Cour pénale internationale en Libye, c'est d'abord rappeler certains faits que nul ne peut ignorer. Le premier fait, c'est que la CPI agit en vertu d'une résolution adoptée sous chapitre 7 et à l'unanimité des membres de ce Conseil. Cette résolution 1970 fait obligation à tous les États, qu'ils soient ou non partis au statut de Rome, de coopérer avec la Cour dans cette situation. À plus forte raison, elle fait obligation de n'entraver d'aucune manière son action ou celle du bureau du procureur dans l'accomplissement de ce mandat. Le deuxième fait, c'est que la Libye elle-même, sans être partie au statut de Rome, a décidé souverainement de donner compétence à la Cour par la voie d'une déclaration formulée le 12 mai 2025 au titre de l'article 12, paragraphe 3 du statut de Rome. C'est là une marque de confiance des autorités libyennes à l'égard de la CPI et le signe que celle-ci agit conformément au principe de complémentarité. Madame la Présidente, évoquer l'action de la CPI en Libye, c'est ensuite constater que celle-ci donne des résultats. Une des avancées marquantes au cours de la période couverte par le rapport est l'arrestation et la remise imminente à la Cour de Khaled Mohamed Ali El-Ishri, appréhendé en Allemagne sur la base d'un mandat d'arrêt délivré par la Chambre préliminaire pour crimes de guerre et crimes contre l'humanité. Il s'agit du deuxième mandat d'arrêt public délivré par cette Chambre dans le cadre de l'enquête sur les crimes allégués dans la prison de Mitiga. Nous notons aussi que, dans le cadre de la coopération élargie offerte par le gouvernement libyen, le bureau du procureur a intensifié ses activités au cours des 6 derniers mois, avec pas moins de 25 missions dans 6 États et la collecte de plus de 1500 éléments de preuve, dont des documents vidéo et audio, des éléments scientifiques et techniques et des images satellites. Nous saluons aussi l'engagement maintenu avec les organisations de la société civile libyenne, à travers 150 réunions avec plus de 50 organisations, dont une réunion importante tenue en présence de la procureure adjointe Khan le 8 octobre dernier. C'est là, aux yeux de la France, un travail essentiel, non seulement aux fins des enquêtes, mais aussi pour s'assurer que les victimes sont entendues et, en cas de condamnation, rétablies dans leur dignité et dans leurs droits. Nous encourageons aussi les autorités libyennes à coopérer avec la CPI pleinement, notamment sur la question des mandats d'arrêt. Madame la Présidente, évoquer l'action de la CPI en Libye, c'est enfin reconnaître que celle-ci s'inscrit dans une action plus vaste des Nations Unies pour la relance du processus politique. C'est le cœur même du mandat de la mission d'appui des Nations Unies en Libye, récemment renouvelée pour une année supplémentaire. Nous soutenons à cet égard la feuille de route annoncée par la représentante spéciale Anna Tété et appelons à sa pleine mise en œuvre. Celle-ci est essentielle pour avancer vers la formation d'un nouveau gouvernement unifié devant mener le pays à des élections présidentielles et législatives libres, transparentes et inclusives sur l'ensemble du territoire libyen. L'engouement suscité par les dernières élections municipales, témoigne de l'aspiration du peuple libyen à décider lui-même de son avenir. La quête de justice et le refus de l'impunité sont, elles aussi, des aspirations du peuple libyen. Et c'est à cela que la CPI contribue. Madame la Présidente, la Cour peut compter sur le soutien continu de la France à son travail indépendant et impartial. À cet égard, nous réitérons notre appel à ce que les sanctions prises contre la Cour, ses juges, ses procureurs et ceux qui coopèrent avec elle soient levées. Je vous remercie.
I thank the representative of France for the statement, and I'll give the floor to the permanent representative of Slovenia.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to thank the Deputy Prosecutor, Ms. Khan, for her briefing and for the 30th report regarding the Libya situation. I also welcome participation of the Libyan representative. Madam President, we strongly welcome the substantial progress made by the Office of the Prosecutor across its 4 key lines of inquiry in the Libya situation. This progress includes the arrest of Mr. El Hirshi, which will soon lead to the first trial in this situation before the court. This is a significant achievement in fulfilling mandate given with the Resolution 1970, and it is also an important step in the fight against impunity in Libya. In this sense, we also note that unsealing of another arrest warrant, and we repeat our regret that despite the unsealed arrest warrant, Mr. Njim has been able to return to Libya. We urge all states to fully cooperate with the court, as is their legal obligation under the binding Resolution 1970 and under the Rome Statute. The message that the states are sending to the victims and perpetrators must be clear, and this is there will be no impunity for international atrocities, however long it takes. In this sense, we strongly welcome the continued engagement of the Office of the Prosecutor with victims' associations and civil society. The right to justice and redress must remain at the heart of international efforts. Madam President, we welcome concrete steps taken by Libyan authorities in their cooperation with the prosecutor, and we call on them to continue with their efforts in this regard, in accordance with the Resolution 1970. In particular, we emphasize the importance of executing all outstanding ICC arrest warrants. We positively note the declaration made by the government of Libya pursuant to Article 12, Para 3 of the Rome Statute, and we welcome that the Office of the Prosecutor will continue its investigations pursuant to Resolution 1970 beyond 2026. Madam President, the task and mandate of the Court are difficult, now more so than ever before. However, we have established the Court for exactly such times, difficult, darkest, most challenging times for the victims. The ICC is delivering justice for the victims. The ICC is ensuring accountability for all, regardless of their position and however long it takes for the victims. The independence and impartiality of the court must be ensured for the victims and for the justice. We, the state parties to the Rome Statute, have established the court as the cornerstone of the global fight against impunity. The establishment of the ICC is part of the legacy of the Nuremberg trial, whose 80th anniversary we commemorated 5 days ago. This role of the ICC has been recognized by this Council in 2 situations, including the one we are discussing today. And this role of the ICC is the reason why we call for all states to continue supporting and protecting the ICC. Slovenia will continue to do so, and we emphasize once again that any threats, pressures, or sanctions against the ICC or its officials are unacceptable, and we call for their immediate removal. I thank you.
I thank the permanent representative of Slovenia for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Algeria.
شكرا السيدة الرئيسة. استمع وفد بلادي باهتمام بالغ إلى الإحاطة التي قدمتها السيدة نزات شميم خان نائب المدعي العام للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية، واطلع كذلك على التقرير 30 للمدعي العام للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية بشأن التقدم المحرز منذ شهر ماي 2025 فيما يتعلق بالوضع في ليبيا. كما نرحب بمشاركة سعادة المندوب الدائم لدولة ليبيا في اجتماع اليوم. السيدة الرئيسة، إن تحقيق العدالة في ليبيا شأنه شأن سائر دول العالم يظل مطلبا وطنيا مشروعا وحقا أصيلا لا يقبل الجدل أو المساومة، وليس نزوة عابرة أو حالة ظرفية تمليها اعتبارات خارجية مؤقتة. ومن هذا المنطلق اسمحوا لي أن أتطرق إلى النقاط التالية. أولاً، يؤكد وفد بلادي أن ولاية المحكمة الجنائية الدولية بشأن الوضع في ليبيا يجب أن تمارس في إطار مبدأ التكامل مع السلطات القضائية الوطنية، لا على أساس إقصائها أو الحلول محلها. وعليه ينبغي تركيز الجهود على تعزيز التعاون والتنسيق بين الجهات القضائية الليبية صاحبة الولاية الأصلية وبين المحكمة الجنائية الدولية، بما يكفل التحقيق في مختلف الجرائم والانتهاكات وضمان محاكمات عادلة وشفافة. ثانياً، تسجل بلادي قرار الحكومة الليبية قبول اختصاص المحكمة بصفة طوعية، وهو قرار يعكس التزام السلطات العليا في ليبيا بإحقاق العدالة وتعزيز المساءلة عن الجرائم والانتهاكات. كما تثني بلادي على التعاون الإيجابي القائم بين السلطات الليبية والمحكمة الجنائية الدولية، بما من شأنه تسريع وتيرة التحقيقات الجارية تمهيداً لإغلاقها في أقرب الأجال الممكنة. ثالثاً، تشدد الجزائر على ضرورة اطلاع المجتمع الدولي وفي مقدمته منظمة الأمم المتحدة بمسؤولياته في دعم قطاع العدالة في ليبيا من خلال تكثيف برامج التدريب وبناء القدرات ونقل الخبرات، بما يمكن هذا القطاع من أداء مهامه بفعالية باعتباره صاحب الولاية القضائية الأصلية والأصيلة. رابعاً، إن ولاية المحكمة الجنائية الدولية في ليبيا يجب ألا تقتصر على ملاحقة العناصر المحلية المتورطة في مختلف الجرائم، بل يتعين أن تمتد لتشمل الأطراف الخارجية التي يثبت تورطها في زعزعة الاستقرار وبث الفتنة والتحريض ضد الشعب والدولة الليبية، سواء عبر خرق حظر الأسلحة أو تجنيد المرتزقة والمقاتلين الأجانب أو التمويل غير المشروع أو التجييش الإعلامي. السيدة الرئيسة، إن العدالة مبدأ إنساني سامٍ لا يحده زمان ولا مكان، ومن هذا المنظور تجدد بلادي دعوتها إلى مواصلة المحكمة الجنائية الدولية والمدعي العام للمحكمة جهودهما الحثيثة في التحقيق في الجرائم المرتكبة في مختلف بؤر الصراع، بما فيها فلسطين وقطاع غزة، والتي حصدت أرواح آلاف الأبرياء. وفي الختام، تؤكد الجزائر التزامها الراسخ باحترام استقلال ليبيا وسيادتها ووحدتها شعباً وأرضاً، ودعمها لمسار سياسي ليبي جامع ترعاه الأمم المتحدة يهدف إلى التوصل إلى حل نهائي وشامل للأزمة في هذا البلد الشقيق. وشكراً سيدة الرئيسة.
I thank the representative of Algeria for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of Pakistan.
Madam President, I join colleagues in thanking Deputy Prosecutor Nazat Shamim Khan for a detailed briefing. We also welcome the participation of the permanent representative of Libya in the meeting. Pakistan takes note of the 30th report of the ICC prosecutor submitted pursuant to Security Council Resolution 1970 of 2011. We have noted the steps taken by the office to strengthen cooperation with all relevant Libyan authorities. We also acknowledge the progress achieved, particularly the expected first surrender of a suspect to the ICC since the Council's 2011 referral, the extensive evidence-gathering efforts, and the office's broad engagement with civil society. We believe that Libya's declaration of May 2025, accepting the court's full jurisdiction, will further facilitate constructive cooperation. Madam President, allow me to underscore 3 key points. 1, Pakistan reaffirms its unwavering commitment to Libya's sovereignty, independence, territorial integrity, and national unity. A Libyan-led, Libyan-owned political process remains the only viable path to sustainable peace and stability in the brotherly country. 2, although Pakistan is not a party to the Rome Statute, we remain committed to credible and across-the-board accountability for international crimes. Selectivity and double standards erode confidence in the global justice system. The ICC's legitimacy will be strengthened when its actions are guided strictly by impartiality and objective criteria. We therefore encourage the Office of the Prosecutor to uphold these principles consistently. 3. Cooperation between the court and Libyan authorities remain essential to fulfilling the mandate established by Resolution 1970. We trust that the office will continue to act with full sensitivity to Libya's judicial sovereignty and legitimate concerns. A cooperative approach that ensures national ownership will yield the most durable and meaningful results. Madam President, in conclusion, Pakistan encourages continued constructive engagement between Libya and the ICC in a manner that strengthens national ownership and contributes to long-term peace, reconciliation, and justice for the Libyan people. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of Guyana.
Thank you, Madam President. I thank the Deputy Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Nazat Shamim Khan, for her presentation of the 30th report of the Prosecutor's Office on the situation in Libya. I also welcome the participation of the Permanent Representative of Libya in today's meeting. Guyana reiterates its support for the work of the court and takes positive note of the progress made during the reporting period on the key lines of inquiry for the renewed action in Libya. Madam President, February 2026 will mark 15 years since the unanimous decision of the Security Council in Resolution 1970 to refer the situation in Libya to the prosecutor of the ICC, one of 2 such referrals made by the Council. The Council at the time condemned the widespread and systematic attacks that were taking place against the civilian population in Libya and stressed the need to hold to account those responsible for attacks on civilians. It has been repeatedly recognized that addressing impunity and ensuring justice for victims of atrocity crimes are critical for achieving lasting peace and stability for the people of Libya. The past months have finally brought significant progress, reflective of the tenacity of the office and the determination of the victims, witnesses, affected communities, and civil society. The arrest in July 2025 of Khaled Mohammed Ali El-Hisri by the German authorities for war crimes and crimes against humanity allegedly committed in Mitiga prison was the first surrender of a suspect to the ICC and the start of pre-trial proceedings since the referral by the Council in 2011. Another positive development was a declaration by the Libyan government of its acceptance of the ICC's jurisdiction over Article 5 crimes committed in Libya from 2011 to the end of 2027. At a time when the security situation in Libya, particularly in Tripoli, remains of concern, the declaration reflecting enhanced commitment from the government of Libya to fulfill their cooperation obligations on the Security Council Resolution 1970 of 2011 is an important recognition that accountability, action by the office, can support efforts to strengthen the rule of law in Tripoli and throughout Libya. We look forward to continued improvement of the engagements between the office and the Libyan authorities with concomitant results. We urge the Libyan authorities to provide the necessary assistance to the prosecutor's office in accordance with its obligations under Resolution 1970, including the execution of all outstanding arrest warrants and surrender of suspects to the ICC. We also stress the complementarity role of the ICC and note the office's efforts in contributing to investigations conducted by domestic law enforcement agencies of 5 state parties into alleged international crimes committed in Libya and the office's readiness to cooperate with Libyan authorities. Madam President, while we commend the determined efforts of the office to carry out the mandate given by this Council, we acknowledge that the challenges it faces due to resources constraints and encourages states to continue their support in this regard. We also reiterate that to carry out its functions with impartiality and independence, the court, its officials, and those cooperating with it must be able to operate free from threats or intimidation. Recently, the office secured the conviction of Ali Qasab for crimes committed in darfur, with the ICC unanimously finding him guilty of 27 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity, the first judgment arising from a Security Council referral. This demonstrates that referrals by the Council to the court can contribute to justice for victims of atrocity crimes. Many are hopeful that the conviction will help to break the cycles of horrific violence that engulf Sudan, serving as a powerful message to perpetrators that such crimes will not be tolerated. In conclusion, Madam President, Guyana reiterates our support for the International Criminal Court and the Office of the Prosecutor. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Guyana for her statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me begin by welcoming the distinguished representative of Libya to today's Council meeting. And may I also thank Deputy Prosecutor Khan for the presentation of her latest report and for her in-person briefing to the Council today. Madam President, I would like to make 3 points. First, the United Kingdom welcomes the progress reported by the Office of the Prosecutor in pursuing its mandate under Resolution 1970. We welcome the significant steps taken across all 4 investigative tracks during this reporting period. This progress is reflected in the anticipated surrender of Mr. Khalid al-Hishri to the court following his arrest in Germany. Such a surrender would constitute a significant landmark in the court's consideration of this situation. Second, we welcome the positive and enhanced cooperation by the Libyan authorities, as highlighted in the Office of the Prosecutor's report. This progress is encouraging and demonstrates what can be achieved through sustained cooperation in pursuit of justice. Continued engagement will be essential to turn these commitments into concrete results. We encourage the Libyan authorities to continue to build on this momentum by working with the court to ensure that those subject to ICC warrants are surrendered so that justice can be delivered for victims. Third, we note that this progress has been achieved despite significant challenges facing the court. It is essential that the court can carry out the mandate entrusted to it by the Council without interference. We call on states to respect and support the court's work. The UK reiterates its support for the ICC and its independence, and we call on states to meet their relevant obligations under Resolution 1970. Madam President, accountability remains essential to stability in Libya. The progress reported today is encouraging, but continued cooperation remains critical. The United Kingdom stands firmly behind the court in its efforts to deliver justice for the Libyan people. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the United Kingdom for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, Madam President. At the outset, I must reiterate our ongoing grave concerns with the ICC's attempts to assert jurisdiction over the United States or any U.S. ally that has not consented to the ICC jurisdiction. The United States unequivocally opposes such actions. As we indicated during the recent General Assembly debate on the ICC, the core U.S. objection to the ICC has been unchanged for nearly 3 decades, going back to our participation in the Rome Statute negotiations. The ICC prosecutor and judges wield enormous power that has proven to be unchecked, as any safeguards provided in the Rome Statute have failed or been ignored. The United States will no longer stand by and let this happen. As our longstanding concerns have been realized and the threat presented by the ICC has grown, our response has escalated in proportion. Our objectives are clear. The ICC and states parties have the opportunity to change course. Now is the time for action. Turning now to Libya, during the high-level week, the U.S. Senior Advisor for Arab and African Affairs, Masad Boulos, convened a group of senior officials from 10 countries to reinforce our strong commitment to support Libya's progress on a path to greater unity, security, stability, and prosperity. Ending political instability and ensuring accountability in Libya will help reduce ongoing violence and the power of armed groups, which are responsible for many of the most serious human rights abuses across the country. We remain gravely concerned about the lack of respect for rule of law, including in official and unofficial detention facilities, that has allowed these abuses to occur with impunity. To that end, we commend the Attorney General's office for its arrest of former Judicial Police Commander Osama Najim and urge the relevant authorities to ensure he is held accountable for his many alleged human rights violations. We also call on Libyan authorities to ensure former senior officials of the Gaddafi regime face justice. It is necessary to confront past wrongs by breaking the cycle of impunity in Libya and empowering its people for a peaceful, prosperous future. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the United States for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Panama.
Gracias, Presidenta. Agradecemos a la fiscal adjunta de la Corte Penal Internacional, Nazat Shamim Khan, por sus importantes actualizaciones. Reconocemos también la presencia del representante permanente de Libia, cuya participación en esta reunión es valorada. Panamá reconoce la labor de la Corte Penal Internacional y de la Oficina del Fiscal en el cumplimiento del mandato conferido por este Consejo a través de la Resolución 1970, en el contexto de la situación en Libia. Reafirmamos que esta remisión, adoptada bajo el capítulo 7 de la Carta de las Naciones Unidas, genera obligaciones jurídicas vinculantes para todos los Estados miembros y la credibilidad del Consejo depende de garantizar que la cooperación con la Corte se cumpla efectivamente. El reciente informe de la Corte comunica pasos relevantes en los esfuerzos por combatir la impunidad por crímenes cometidos en el territorio libio y por avanzar en la rendición de cuentas. Destacamos especialmente la emisión y ejecución de la orden de arresto contra Khaled Mohammed Ali El-Hishri, acusado de crímenes de guerra y de lesa humanidad cometidos en la prisión de Mitiga. Su detención en Alemania y la expectativa de su pronta entrega a la Corte representan un hito histórico. La Corte ha realizado esfuerzos investigativos destacables, con más de 25 misiones en 6 estados y más de 1.000 elementos de prueba recopilados, en paralelo con investigaciones nacionales, lo que refleja el principio de complementariedad previsto en el artículo 17 del Estatuto de Roma. Valoramos también la cooperación con autoridades nacionales y la interacción con la sociedad civil, así como los avances en investigaciones sobre crímenes cometidos contra personas migrantes. Igualmente, damos la bienvenida a la declaración de Libia bajo el artículo 12 del Estatuto de Roma, mediante la cual acepta la jurisdicción de la Corte hasta el 2027. Este acto es jurídicamente significativo, ya que formaliza obligaciones y abre la puerta a intensificar la cooperación en materia de acceso a pruebas, archivos, protección de testigos y ejecución de órdenes de arresto. Este paso abre un nuevo capítulo de cooperación entre Libia y la Corte y refleja la clara voluntad de avanzar hacia el fortalecimiento del Estado de Derecho. Panamá reconoce este compromiso como un paso responsable y necesario para garantizar procesos sólidos que estén orientados a resultados y reafirma su pleno apoyo tanto a la Corte como al Estado de Libia en este proceso. Como Estado parte del Estatuto de Roma, Panamá reitera su apoyo a la independencia, imparcialidad e integridad de la Corte Penal Internacional, con la convicción de que la rendición de cuentas es un componente indispensable de la justicia. Por ello, cuestionamos cualquier medida coercitiva o sanción que pueda afectar su mandato o las investigaciones en curso. Los crímenes no deben quedar impunes y las víctimas tienen derecho a conocer la verdad, acceder a mecanismos de justicia y recibir reparación. Presidenta, convencidos de que no puede haber paz sin mecanismos efectivos de rendición de cuentas, Panamá continuará promoviendo el respeto al derecho internacional y apoyando iniciativas que contribuyan a la justicia y la estabilidad en Libia. Muchas gracias.
I thank the representative of Panama for the statement. I now give the floor to the permanent representative of the Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Madam President. Sorry. I also thank Deputy Prosecutor Khan for her briefing. I also welcome the permanent representative of Libya to today's meeting. We have taken note of studies report submitted by Office of the Prosecutor and the important development it outlines. In light of the report and the current situation in Libya, I would like to make the following 3 points. First, we commend the meaningful progress made by the ICC during this reporting period. In particular, we note the arrest of El Hidishi by the German authorities following the issuance of an arrest warrant for crimes committed in Mitika prison. We also welcome the unsealing of the arrest warrants for Saif Schneider, as well as ongoing efforts to secure the arrest of the remaining fugitives. These are important steps toward and mark a clear progress toward accountability for the grave crimes committed in Libya. We further highlight the strengthened cooperation between ICC and member states, international organizations, and national investigative teams. Germany's support in executing arrest warrant, as well as the work of the joint investigative team, demonstrate the essential value of international partnership rooted in Rome Statute and the obligation established by Security Council Resolution 1970. We also welcome the Office decision to continue its investigative activities beyond May 2026 to ensure the substantive completion of the priority lines of inquiry and encourage the Office to carry forward its work with sustained commitment and resolve. Second, we believe that a particularly significant development is Libya's declaration under Article 12, Paragraph 3 of the Rome Statute, through which it accepted the ICC's jurisdiction until 2027. Its voluntary declaration sends a strong and unmistakable message that will be no safe refuge for perpetrators of serious crimes, and that accountability will remain an unavoidable reality for those responsible. At the same time, we recognize that challenges remain. We encourage all Libyan authorities, including Office of the Attorney General, to translate this declaration into tangible cooperation, particularly in arrest and the surrender of suspects, and by providing timely responses to ICC requests. We urge the Libyan authorities to urgently address persistent non-cooperation regarding certain fugitives, which remains a serious concern. Third, we are encouraged by the prosecutor's office deepening its engagement with the civil society and victims group, and hope to see this positive trend continue to gain momentum. The more than 150 interactions conducted during the reporting period are evidence of the victim-centered approach bearing fruits. Ending impunity is inseparable from restoring the dignity of victims, and sustained efforts in this regard remain essential. We therefore encourage the ICC to continue to ensure that communications with these stakeholders remains transparent and is conducted safely and securely. In closing, Madam President, the Republic of Korea reiterates its strong support for the ICC. As a steadfast support for the court, we commend its unwavering efforts to end impunity despite unprecedented challenges to the court. We remain convinced that this work will be essential in preventing future atrocities and paving the way toward lasting peace and stability. I thank you.
I thank the permanent representative of the Republic of Korea for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Госпожа председатель, на протяжении целого ряда лет просматривается устойчивый нисходящий тренд, отражающий последовательную утрату Международным уголовным судом доверия международного сообщества, уставшего от двойных стандартов, имитации деятельности и политически мотивированного правосудия. 11 ноября Генеральная ассамблея ООН рассмотрела проект ежегодной резолюции по докладу МУС. Результаты голосования наглядно продемонстрировали реальное отношение государств к деятельности этой политизированной структуры. Только за последний год количество делегаций, голосующих «за», сократилось на 20. Всего в поддержку этого псевдосуда выступило менее половины государств-членов ООН. Примечательно, что костяк сторонников МУС – это страны ЕС и их единомышленники, которые каждый раз избегают подвергать своих собственных граждан юрисдикции Международного уголовного суда. Интересно и то, что среди государств-участников самого статута четверть не проголосовала в поддержку суда. Результаты голосования в Генеральной Ассамблее как нельзя лучше иллюстрируют абсолютную необоснованность притязаний МУС на некую универсальность. По факту у этой погрязшей в скандалах и коррупции структуры нет поддержки даже и среди ее собственных участников. Кроме того, за последний год 4 государства объявили о выходе из Римского статута. Все по схожим основаниям: политизация, неоколониальные практики, переписывание под себя международного права и утрата судом какой-либо связи с подлинным правосудием. Таким образом, речь идет не о частных эпизодах, а о системном, глубоком недовольстве и разочаровании со стороны тех, кто некогда поддержал создание суда, в надежде на справедливый и эффективный механизм. Массовый исход государств показывает, что МУС теряет доверие без поддержки и легитимность. Вернемся к ситуации в Ливии. Внимательно ознакомились с 30-м юбилейным докладом прокуратуры МУС о ходе расследования в этой ситуации. Праздновать здесь, безусловно, нечего. Перед нами очередная поверхностная отписка, служащая лучшим подтверждением системного характера кризиса внутри и вокруг МУС. Раз за разом мы слышим набор заявлений о некой приоритизации, а также о преодолении все новых вызовов. Все это пустые слова и имитация работы. В этой связи напоминаем о том, что с момента передачи ливийского досье МУС Советом Безопасности прошло более 14 лет. За это время псевдосуд не смог продемонстрировать реальных результатов в части отправления правосудия. Его вклад в содействие стабилизации обстановки и установлению устойчивого мира иначе как отрицательным назвать сложно. Деятельность МУС по задачам, возложенным на него резолюцией Совета Безопасности 1970, давно зашла в тупик. При этом сам МУС, вместо того, чтобы добросовестно выполнять поручения Совета или признать невозможность внести положительный вклад в расследование ситуации, избрал более удобный путь. Он начал сам себе ставить задачи и определять направление расследования, выдавая такой сомнительный подход за некий прогресс. В частности, МУС взялся за расследование текущих событий в Ливии. И это было сделано задолго до недавней декларации ливийских властей. Несмотря на то, что никаким мандатом в данном отношении он не обладал. Это позволило ему наштамповать новые ордера, прикрывая отсутствие реальных результатов по расследованию событий 2011 года, которое изначально было поручено ему Советом Безопасности. При этом сегодня здесь прозвучало несколько раз некое предположение от ряда делегаций, что резолюция 1970 накладывает некое обязательство сотрудничать на государств неучастников Римского статута. Хотели бы прояснить эту ситуацию. Так, в параграфе 5 оперативной части резолюции прямо сказано, что неучастники статута не несут по нему никаких обязательств. И в отношении сотрудничества содержится лишь призыв, который таких юридических обязательств не создает. хотели бы напомнить, что ужасы затяжной гражданской войны, которые годами переживало мирное население Ливии, прямое следствие агрессии НАТО против этой страны в 2011 году. Разрушение государственности и экономики Ливии посеяло хаос, ставший питательной средой для террористов, экстремистов, преступников, распространивших нестабильность по всему африканскому континенту. Как мы хорошо помним, МУС предпочел закрыть глаза на эти первопричины трагедии. Никаких военных преступлений со стороны натовцев он не увидел. В его интерпретации ответственность удобно перекладывается на самих ливийцев. Мы последовательно указывали на политизацию и двойные стандарты МУС. Представленный сегодня доклад еще раз подтверждает нашу правоту. Так, сравнительно недавно псевдосуд решил заняться расследованием преступлений против мигрантов. Но и здесь он вновь демонстрирует избирательность. Даются отсылки лишь к отдельным эпизодам преступлений. По-прежнему нет ни малейшего упоминания о роли европейских государств, чьи политики и практики стали причиной бесчеловечного обращения и гибели ищущих спасения людей, не говоря уже о роли этих государств в соучастии в вооруженном вторжении в Ливию, ставшем первопричиной миграционного кризиса. Таким образом, МУС, как обычно, старательно заметает под ковер деяния своих западных хозяев и их союзников. Избирательность и выгораживание своих – это отличительная черта работы данной структуры. Особенно показательна ситуация с неисполнением Италии, участником Римского статута МУС, его ордера на арест в начале этого года. Какие же были последствия? Псевдосуд ограничился констатацией нарушений и отложил рассмотрение этого вопроса. Когда правила нарушают свои, МУС закрывает на это глаза. Окажись на месте Италии любая незападная страна, вопрос был бы незамедлительно передан в Ассамблею государств-участников. Госпожа председатель, мы неоднократно подчеркивали, что устойчивое урегулирование в Ливии возможно только через поддержку национальных институтов. Но МУС и здесь выступает препятствием для нормализации обстановки. Игнорируя уставной принцип комплементарности, своим вмешательством он систематически обесценивает попытки ливийцев наладить собственные механизмы правосудия. Псевдосуд продолжает навязывать модели извне, игнорируя первопричины проблем и региональный контекст. Ливия не нуждается в новых экспериментах внешних игроков. Ливийский народ имеет полное право самостоятельно определять свое будущее. Долг международного сообщества – не подменять суверенную волю Ливии, а помогать укреплению национальных институтов, содействовать восстановлению безопасности и поддержанию политического процесса. Что касается деятельности МУС, то она давно превратилась в препятствие, которое нужно устранить. В этой связи мы вновь призываем отозвать ливийское, а также и дарфурское досье из Международного уголовного суда. Благодарю вас.
I thank the representative of Russia for the statement. I shall now make a statement in my capacity as the representative of Sierra Leone. I thank the Deputy Prosecutor, Ms. Nazat Shamim Khan, for her comprehensive briefing in presenting of the 13th report of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court on the situation in Libya, pursuant to Security Council Resolution 1970. Sierra Leone welcomes her presence and the continued engagement of the Office of the Prosecutor in fulfilling the mandate of this Council. I also welcome the participation of the Permanent Representative of Libya in this meeting. We take positive note of and welcome the significant progress achieved during the reporting period. In this regard, The anticipated surrender of Khalid El-Hishri to the court following his arrest by the German authorities on the basis of an ICC warrant marks an important turning point in the pursuit of accountability in Libya. The charges relate to grave crimes in Mitiga prison, including murder, torture, rape, and sexual violence. His transfer is expected to lead to the first trial before the court pursuant to Resolution 1970. This development further demonstrates that accountability under this referral is feasible when cooperation is sustained. We also take note of progress across all 4 core lines of inquiry. The renewed tempo of operations, including 25 missions conducted across 6 states, significant evidence collection, and the expansion of structured engagements with victims and civil society illustrates the determination of the Office of the Prosecutor to advance justice in an increasingly complex environment. Sierra Leone further welcomes the declaration issued by the government of Libya under Article 12.3 of the Rome Statute. This is a meaningful expression of Libya's willingness to work with the court. It provides a renewed basis for partnership and reinforces the importance of national ownership in the pursuit of accountability. We also take positive note of the concrete steps taken by the Libyan authorities following this declaration and encourage sustained cooperation as the investigations proceed. In view of the foregoing, let me make the following 3 points. First, Sierra Leone acknowledges the operational challenges highlighted in the report. These include restrictions on access to sites, the difficulty of executing warrants, and limited resources for the effective conduct of investigations. We also recognize with concern that these efforts have advanced despite coercive measures directed at the courts and its personnel. The sanctions imposed on the prosecutor, deputy prosecutors, and judges raise important questions about the ability of judicial officials at the court to perform their duties independently. Sierra Leone places high value on professionalism and dedication of the court's personnel and emphasizes the importance of ensuring that they are able to discharge their responsibilities free from actions that may undermine cooperation or impede the impartial administration of justice. We reaffirm our strong support for the court's independence and express the hope that issues affecting its effective functioning will be addressed in a manner consistent with our shared commitments to justice and the rule of law. Second, we reiterate that the duty to cooperate with the ICC in this situation flows directly from Resolution 1970 and the Charter of the United Nations. 9 arrest warrants remain unexecuted, including that of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. The credibility of this council depends on full and timely cooperation by all states, regardless of their status under the Rome Statute. We therefore encourage member states and the Libyan authorities to ensure that suspects are arrested and surrendered without delay and that access to evidence and witnesses is facilitated in good faith. Sierra Leone underscores ongoing need for the continuing engagement between the office and the Libyan judicial authorities. The principle of complementarity must guide the next phase of work. National institutions should be strengthened and equipped to ensure that progress achieved at the international level contributes to sustainable accountability at home. We also acknowledge the contributions of member states and regional partners, including civil society. The Joint Investigative Team addressing migrant-related crimes, which includes several states in Europe, Europol, and Interpol, provides a practical example of a shared responsibility. Sierra Leone supports deeper cooperation of this kind and encourages the expansion of coordinated models to address other areas of serious criminality identified in the report. Third, we pay tribute to the courage of victims, witnesses, and human rights defenders whose cooperation has made these advances possible. Sierra Leone encourages the Office of the Prosecutor to continue its victim-centered approach, including psychosocial support, protection measures, and regular updates that keep affected communities engaged. Sierra Leone further recognizes the importance of ensuring that the court has the resources required to fulfill its responsibilities under this referral. We encourage member states to support the Trust Fund for Victims and the Court's Trust Fund for participation in proceedings so that financial constraints do not limit the pursuit of justice. In closing, Sierra Leone reaffirms its commitment to the courts, the Rome Statute, and to the full implementation of Resolution 1970. Accountability remains essential to any lasting peace in Libya. Sierra Leone will continue to support a principled, complementarity-driven, and victim-centered approach and encourages all states to uphold their obligations in support of justice, stability, and the rule of law. Thank you. I resume my function as President of the Council. I now give the floor to the Permanent Representative of Libya.
السيدة الرئيسة، في البداية أود أن أشكركم على تنظيم هذا الاجتماع، كما نرحب بالسيدة نزهات خان نائبة المدعي العام، وأحطنا علما بالتقرير 30. السيدة الرئيسة، وصولنا للتقرير 30 وكون أن المحكمة مطالبة بتقديم تقريرين في العام يعني أيضا أننا وصلنا لقرابة 15 عاما منذ أن أحيل ملف ليبيا إلى المحكمة الجنائية الدولية من قبل مجلس الأمن. ورغم أن ليبيا لم تصدق على نظام روما الأساسي، إلا أننا نعلم أهمية دور المحكمة في ملاحقة من تسببوا في جرائم الحرب أو جرائم ضد الإنسانية أو الإبادة الجماعية حول العالم حسب ما هو معرف في ميثاقها. ولهذا وكما ذكر تقريركم كان هناك ولا زال تعاون بين المحكمة الجنائية ومكتب النائب العام الليبي والمجلس الرئاسي والحكومة على مدار السنوات رغم كل التحديات التي تواجه البلاد. كما تتقدم دولة ليبيا بالشكر للمحكمة ومكتب المدعي العام على دعمهما لليبيا في إنهاء الإفلات من العقاب على الجرائم الدولية المرتكبة في ليبيا. نرحب بالتقدم الذي أحرزته المحكمة الجنائية الدولية بشأن الوضع الليبي خلال الأشهر الست الماضية، حيث تعتبر حماية حقوق الضحايا الليبيين أولوية بالنسبة للحكومة الليبية والسلطات المعنية. وجاء ذلك أيضا في التعاون المعلن حتى نهاية 2027 وضمان المساعدة بالشراكة مع المؤسسات الليبية بموجب المادة 12 فقرة 3 من النظام الأساسي للمحكمة الجنائية الدولية من أجل تعزيز سيادة القانون وحقوق الإنسان في البلاد. وهذا من شأنه تعزيز العدالة الدولية وتطلعات الليبيين في هدفهما المتمثل في إنهاء الإفلات من العقاب وحماية حقوق الليبيين الأبرياء. السيد الرئيس، كما هو الحال في كل مداخلة لنا، وجب التأكيد على أن ولاية المحكمة الجنائية الدولية تقوم على مبدأ التكامل وليس الإحلال، وإن القضاء الوطني هو القضاء الأصيل وصاحب الولاية. وقد ناقشت مع السيدة نائبة المدير العام هذا الأمر في وقت سابق وسبل تعزيزه، ومن هنا يجب التأكيد على النقاط التالية: إن هيئة النيابة العامة هي الولاية القضائية المخولة على الصعيد الوطني بممارسة اختصاص ملاحقة أشخاص الضالعين في ارتكاب جرائم الحرب وجرائم ضد الإنسانية كما ورد في نظام روما الأساسي. إن مبدأ التكامل يأتي في التعاون ومشاركة التحقيقات والقرائن والأدلة، وبالأخص حين يتعذر على النيابة العامة التحقيق مع المتهمين أو القبض عليهم حسب ولايتها، وذلك حسب التشريعات الوطنية واحترام القضاء الوطني. إن أي أوامر قبض صادرة بناء على طلب المحكمة الجنائية الدولية تتعلق بمواطنين ليبيين وتختص فيها هيئة النيابة العامة الليبية بالتحقيق في الجرائم المنسوبة إليها، إلا إذا تعذر ذلك، حينها يتم تفعيل الدور التكاملي للمحكمة. وكمثال على ما نعتقد أنه مهم في مبدأ التكامل هو ما يخص المتهمين في أفظع قضايا القرن في ليبيا جريمة المقابر الجماعية في ترهونة وملاحقة المجموعة المتهمة بارتكاب تلك الجرائم. فبالأرقام قام مكتب النائب العام بالتحقيق في 614 قضية تخص المقابر الجماعية، وصدر 255 قرار قضائي، وأحيلت إلى المحكمة 220 قضية، وعدد المحبوسين على ذمة التحقيق 52 متهم، وأصدر المحققون 111 أمر ضبط وإحضار ضد أشخاص ارتكبوا جرائم قتل وخطف وإخفاء قسري وتعذيب. ورغم ما سلف ذكره، وباعتبار هذه الجرائم ترتقي لجرائم حرب، وهي على رأس الفظائع التي شهدتها ليبيا على مدار عقود، إلا أن التقرير الأخير لم يتطرق للمطلوبين الهاربين وعددهم 5، وهؤلاء المطلوبين موجودين في دول أخرى، وهم أيضا من طالبت بهم المحكمة ومكتب النائب العام. لذا نطالب بتكثيف الجهود وبالتنسيق مع مكتب النائب العام بالخصوص واستدراك ذلك في المستقبل. أما بخصوص الفظائع المرتكبة من الإرهاب وشبكات تهريب المهاجرين والاتجار بالبشر، والتي نرى ضرورة ذكرها والتنويه لنتائج عمل النيابة العامة والأجهزة الأمنية المختلفة لمكافحتها ومن خلال الشراكات الدولية بالخصوص. وعلى سبيل المثال كان قد قدم جهاز الردع لمكافحة الإرهاب والجريمة المنظمة 1231 قضية للنائب العام، وأهمها 38 قضية خاصة بالانضمام لتنظيم محظور، تم من خلالها على سبيل المثال مع مكتب النائب العام القبض والتحقيق مع والي تنظيم الدولة في ليبيا المدعو هاشم بوسدرة، وهذا اسم معروف لدى عديد الدول، والقبض عليه ساهم في إضعاف هذا التنظيم وشبكاته داخليا ودوليا، والذين اقترفوا جرائم حرب وجرائم ضد الإنسانية. وفي نفس الإطار تم التصدي لمجموعات تمتهن تهريب المهاجرين والاتجار بهم، حيث تم تقديم أكثر من 26 قضية للاتجار بالبشر وتوقيف عشرات المتهمين منهم من جنسيات أجنبية. كما أطلقت النيابة العامة في عام 2024 مبادرتها لتنسيق الجهود الوطنية والدولية نحو المعالجة الشاملة للاتجار بالبشر وتهريب المهاجرين، وانضم إلى هذه المبادرة جهات وطنية ودولية بتنسيق مع الحكومة، مثل مكتب الأمم المتحدة المعني بالمخدرات والجريمة UNODC والمنظمة الدولية للهجرة IOM. وخلال هذه الفترة تم القبض على عديد المتورطين في الشبكات الدولية للاتجار بالبشر، وأنقذ مئات المهاجرين خلال عمليات القبض والمداهمة بمساعدة الأجهزة الأمنية المختلفة. السيدة الرئيسة، إن سبب ذكرنا لما سلف هو التأكيد أنه يجب أن يخضع المتهم الأولوية للمساءلة والمحاسبة وفق الإجراءات القانونية الوطنية، وإن أي حالات فردية إن حدثت لا تمثل سياسة الدولة أو مؤسساتها. وليس خفيا على أحد أن المواطن سئم إفلات المجرمين من العقاب، ولم يعد يتحمل توغل الإرهابيين ومجموعات مسلحة وشبكات إجرامية في حياته اليومية، وهو يسعى لبناء دولة المؤسسات والقانون. لذا كلنا ثقة في القضاء الوطني والأجهزة التابعة له وقدرته على القيام بمهامه. بالتأكيد هناك عدة تحديات وصعوبات ولا يمكن إغفالها، وهناك عدة جرائم وحشية ارتكبت وما زال من اقترفها مجهولا أو هاربا من العدالة، ولكن الجرائم في القانون الوطني لا تسقط بالتقادم. لذا على الجميع دعم المنظومة القضائية الوطنية ومكتب النائب العام وفرق التحقيقات والأجهزة الضبطية والقضائية، فهم ورغم الانقسام الحالي في البلاد هم محل إجماع ودعم في البلاد، يبذلون كل الجهود الممكنة. ولذا ندعو المحكمة لإرساء مبدأ التكامل وتحسين قنوات التواصل، وألا تنجر إلى محاولات الضغط عليها أو تسييس عملها. وإلى أعضاء مجلس الأمن فأقول لكم أن كل هذه الجرائم والفظائع التي ترتكب في البلاد ما هي إلا نتيجة عدم وجود حل سياسي شامل حتى اليوم، ونتيجة التدخلات الخارجية السلبية منذ 15 عاما. ما يحدث ما هي إلا أعراض، ولكن المشكلة الحقيقة عدم وجود حل جذري للأزمة الليبية. ليبيا لا تريد أن تبقى إلى ما لا نهاية على أجندة المحكمة الجنائية الدولية ولا على أجندة الفصل السابع في هذا المجلس. يجب أن تنصب الجهود لدعم المصالحة الوطنية من خلال مسار العدالة الانتقالية وكشف الحقيقة، ومن خلال ذلك نستطيع أن نقول أنه لا سلام دون عدالة. شكرا سيد الرئيس.
I thank the permanent representative of Libya for the statement. I now give the floor to Deputy Prosecutor Nazat Shamim Khan to respond to comments.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and I have very much appreciated the constructive manner of this engagement. I appreciate the time that delegations have spent responding to our report and to the statement today. I also very much appreciate the constructive discussion that I had yesterday with His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Libya. We hope to continue with our discussions. I think the key to progress is partnership and constructive dialogue and effective communication, and I think we agreed on that, and we will continue with that plan. So thank you again to all delegations, and we find that your contributions will really help us in furthering and satisfying the mandate given to us by this Council. Thank you very much indeed.
I thank Deputy Prosecutor Khan for her statement. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. This meeting is adjourned.